Well, good afternoon, one and all. Welcome back to the FIA Formula Regional European Championship. It's race one about to get underway here at Budapest, and we can't wait for this one. We're well and truly into the second half of the season now, and I must say, what a qualifying session we held this morning. Generally, you would expect the second group to steal away the headlines as far as qualifying goes in Q1, but it's Group A who have taken pole, with Yuki Sano taking his first ever European pole position. We're going to be set to dance around the Hungaroring circuit, 4.3 kilometers in distance, 14 turns in total, translating across to 2.722 miles. The Grand Prix circuit layout that has been embraced ever since 2003. That is the layout we will be undertaking. But yes, going back to Yuki Sano, what a performance this morning to land the crucial blow to ensure that he will be starting on the front row and continuing our Race GP's meteoric run here at Budapest, where we've witnessed successes from the likes of Enzo Dellini in the past, who took pole here last season, did not manage to translate it to victory after a power issue last year, but there were better successes in line for the likes of Tuka Tappinen, who went from pole to victory on both race 1 and race 2. And aside from that, Martini Stenshorn, who was also a back-to-back race winner for our race, as was Adrian David, a one-time race winner the season before in 2022. This is, incidentally, our 6th visit in our history to this championship, and we're looking forward to seeing who's going to come out on top as far as this is concerned. And of course, congratulations Razor Seaworthen at the same time for managing to muster in his best qualifying performance of the season so far, in what will be, I'm sure, a delightful moment for Rodin, who come in for the first time in this championship this season. And they've got other players, of course, to consider as well. Nonetheless, though, George Morgan here in the commentary box, taking you through our first race of the weekend. We're back to our 2-race format. Of course, we do have a sprinkling of 3 race weekends. Of course, the next one we do bring you will be Imola, when we head to Emilia-Romagna on the 4th to the 6th of September. But a vast number of cars are set to stretch around this Budapest circuit. We do have some, I suppose, some house cleaning here to take you through, because we have had some penalties distributed. Car 5 has been handed a 5-place grid drop, so they will be undertaking that. That's Miguel Costa, just to say, and that's a carryover from Monza. Same for car 15, which is Alexander Abakazava, who also received this one from Monza. His is a 3-place grid drop, and elsewhere, a disqualification for Rino Frankop from qualifying this morning, owing to a wing not being appropriately set, and was in fact set a little bit too low. I think around about 1.5 mil too low as I look at the notes. So unfortunately, we'll be starting from the back for CL Motorsport. So a disaster here for him, breaching the conditions set in place by the championship, and therefore they've seen fit to disqualify him. There's Rashid Al Lahiri, the sprint king this season, 2 wins this campaign, both of them being in sprint races. And we've only had actually 2 sprint races to book. We would have had 3, but of course we had it rained off at Spa-Francorchamps, with yet another one that's due to arrive later in the season. There's Emanuele Olivieri, who comes in off the back of a sensational round at Monza, taking his first win in this season's championship at the Temple of Speed. Marcus Sater, who also managed to pull together a tremendous performance, starting P5 on the grid, 2nd in the rookie class behind Olivieri. And G4 Racing have come in with quite the package this weekend, with an impressive performance from the likes of Sakir Al-Mosergi, who we'll catch up with now very soon. There's Thomas Stolchamanis, who was also showing a lot of pace as well. Prema, incidentally, celebrating only 1 win in their last 4 years visiting this circuit, and that was their most recent victory. Well, in fact, the most recent winner in the history of this championship, Freddie Slater, going back 12 months ago. Prior to that, though, 2019, when we first visited this circuit, Frederick Vesti went right through the weekend, managing to take victories from pole position historically. As we now cross down to Sakir Al-Masurji. We did briefly then catch Sebastian Weldon as well, who was not happy with his qualifying performance at all, just did not know where the pace or performance from his car was. But opposite emotions from G4 Racing with Sakir Al-Masurji, went fastest in FP2, incidentally. And many questions being raised as to whether he could follow through in qualifying, and indeed he most definitely did, starting 8th on the grid, ahead of Alexander Munoz, who really hit the heights back at Spa-Francorchamps, managing to go fastest in qualifying for race 1, eventually taking victory. There is Rodin's very own Alex Ninovic, the GB3 champion, who would very much love to be champion here in the FIA Formula Regional European Championship. We're now going to pan across the series of cars that are getting set to line up once again in a bid for storied success. Of course, in prior races, prior rounds, we have seen super performances from Kian Nakamura-Berta in terms of qualifying on pole position. Many wins have gone astray, though, for KNB. The Williams Racing driver has had his troubles here and there, but has managed to hit the heights as well. We've seen many gargantuan fights between himself and the likes of Sebastian Weldon in the past. Here's the starting grid, though. Yuki Sano, a blistering performance, starts ahead of Razor Seaworthen. RSGP rode in on the front row. Rashid El Dahiri makes it RSGP twice inside the top 3 and make that 3 times inside the top 4 with Emanuele Olivieri. Marcus Sater in 5th for G4, ahead of Thomas Dolcemanis for Prema Racing. Then we have Sebastian Weldon starting in 7th for MP Motorsport. Sakir Al-Masurji for G4 Racing in 8th. Alexandra Munoz in 9th for ART, and then Alex Ninovic for Rodin in 10th on the 5th row. Then we move down to Kabir Anurag for ART, the Alpine Junior, alongside Rahim Alabai for G4, experiencing 3 cars inside the top 12. We then move down to Kian Nakamura-Berta for Prema, joined alongside Andrea Dupé for Van Amersfoort Racing. Alexander Abakazava in 15th, alongside Jan Sharovsky in 16th. Francesco Macedo in 17th, alongside Salim Hanna, who also was not happy with his performance after I caught up with him earlier on today. Noah Lyle steps into the championship for the first time, starting 19th for CL alongside Gabriel Gomez. Zenri Chi starts from 21st alongside Matteo Giaccardi for ART. Dion Gauda, last season's rookie champion, 23rd place alongside Giovanni Maschio in 24th. Maximilian Popov starts in 25th for Trident alongside Jules Roussel for CL Motorsport, with Kai Darianani in 27th alongside Andrea Kostic, and Miguel Costa for RPM alongside Reno Francot, who has delivered, or who received the disqualification after one of his parts was deemed to be not appropriate or in withstanding to the rules of the series. So we're all set, ready to race. 30 cars line up on the grid, and very soon we'll be undertaking the formation lap phase in this one. In terms of the championship, it's extraordinarily tight. See Sebastian Weldon, whose last wins came from Zandvoort, round 2 in our championship. He leads by 7 ahead of Kian Nakamura-Berta, who was not able to capitalise on the disappointing qualifying that Seb had pulled together. And in actual fact, it will be Seb starting quite a degree higher than Kian Nakamura-Berta. In fact, to the point of 6 places between them as they start this particular race. And Rashid El Dahiri also with a huge opportunity to levy his points as well. Still yet to win a full main race is Rashid El Dahiri, but the 2 sprints obviously paying dividends in terms of his championship, and now currently sits on 106 points. So plenty of work to do for him, but I'm sure you'll grab that by the horns. 15 points away from Weldon at the top of the championship. Emanuele Olivieri, who won the Middle Eastern title last year, looking to score again this time, fresh after winning his first race in the Formula Regional European Championship last time out at Monza. Very much a hero for his home nation, and no question a budding star. A couple of the cars actually finding life difficult getting off. One of them did. That's an RPM that has just managed to go through. I'm trying to see who that was. Was that Jan? No, that was the number 7 of Andrea Dupé, who was actually stalled at the start. Problem for Van Amersfoort, as one of their drivers has not managed to lift himself off the grid to commence the formation lap, and frustrations visible for Andrea Dupé. Finally gets it going, but a moment of panic and alarm for him. Obviously very unexpected. Obviously Dupé very much well versed to this championship now, but that's a moment he will not want to revisit. The young Frenchman from Paris, who actually competed in the Middle Eastern Championship earlier this year with G4 Racing in Italian F4 last campaign, but most notably his Formula Winter Series campaign landed him 3 podiums last year. It's been a stiff contest this season. Various race winners already. In fact, we've had 7 different winners in 10 races. That's factoring in the sprints at the same time. Of course, we do follow a typical Formula One point scoring system. 25 points for a winner, 18 points for second place onwards. You know how it goes, with 2 points going to pole position, which Yuki Sano is going to be embracing after managing to hit the heights at the close of qualifying this morning. Fastest lap also delivers a point as well. So plenty for the drivers to get excited about. The big question is, who's going to lead off the line? Who is going to get the jump? It may even come from the second row. Obviously, with RSGP, with some pacey competitors, having all 3 cars inside the top 4 places on the grid, it really gives them a grand platform, and you never know, they could yet blanket the podium as well. But lots can happen between now and then. 30 minutes of racing action plus the additional lap. Do not turn away, folks. It's going to be a stellar contest. RSGP strong here, also strong in the team's championship, where they currently sit with, well, they arrived in with 219 points, owing to the 2 points for pole. Does mean they're on 221 as we speak, ahead of MP Motorsports, who sit on 212. Obviously, Seb Weldon's performances at Zandvoort paying dividends for them this season, and of course that was a historical moment for the Dutch team. Their first wins at their home circuit in this championship. As now we wait for the lights, as they now light red. All 5 lights are lit. And they go out, it's pedal to the metal, and it's go, 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 go. Great start for Yuki Sano. Razor Seaward wasn't too slow away, or wasn't too, not too slow away at all, really. Emmanuel Olivieri getting a good start, and it's Rashid El Dahiri, who's already having a look all over the back as well. It's wheel to wheel, though, between the 2 front runners at the start of this race. Sano still holding on. Razor Seaward, though, was left for dead on the outset of turn 1, and now under pressure. It looks like he may have missed out here, because Rashid El Dahiri has indeed pounced and moved into second. G4 Racing line astern as well at the same time. Looks like Sakir Al-Maserji had a great launch at the same time. Wheel to wheel elsewhere. It looks like Jules Roussel is in the thick of the action now as they climb the hill, heading through turn 4. Next up, turn 5. Further back, Thomas Dolchemanis also starting quickly as they start to settle down. Kabir Anurag chucking his car at the inside of Alex Ninovic, who currently sits in 9th place. The Alpine Junior Anurag now down in 10th as they start to formulate their way through the course now and into Sector 2 proper. They're all starting to fan out. 3 wide almost in certain instances as they now come through the chicane section at turn 6 and turn 7. Sano leads the way as they now creep and peep in towards Sector 3 proper, managing to hold back the efforts of Razor Seaworthen, who actually came off the loser in that exchange, because Rashid El Dahiri was able to pounce, and the man who has taken 2 sprint victories this season now smelling a first place opportunity. But it's our race 1 and 2 with Olivieri still down in 4th place. You never know, though, it could be 1, 2 and 3 for our race, which will certainly plaster a smile on the face of Thibaut de Merindol, who not only harnesses a fantastic single-seater program, but has also dipped his toes in recent years in the prototype side of things, with ELMS offering drivers extended opportunities, as now Kabir Anurag this time comes under fire from Ken Nakamura Berta. Second in the championship, KNB, Italian F4 champion, who's now looking to feather his way forward, now looking to the outside of Kabir Anurag, dipping to the inside out of turn 2 in towards turn 3, downhill. Looks like he's going to get a better run, though, coming up through towards turn 4, the Prema driver, who's hoping to swing in some success somewhere, just can't quite find the answer against the Alpine Junior. Effectively Alpine versus Williams in the battle between those two. So they come into Sector 2 proper, and very soon they will be in Sector 3. Very tight and twisty, this circuit. They do call it Monaco without walls, and now Marcus Sater dipping his toes into the grass. Could have very easily ended in tears for him then, the Norwegian. G4 Racing having a magnificent weekend so far. 3 cars inside the top 13 places, which I'm sure will delight Adrian Munoz, who long has G4 been part of this championship now. Of course, a slight livery change coming in for this season, opting for the light blue colouring. Because in previous years we've seen them embracing the black livery, but now they've switched over. As we now watch Kabir Anurag storming down through towards turn 1, still with Kia Nakamura-Berta. Remember, they do have the activation of race mode, and with the rear light flashing, it does indicate when the drivers are using it, and indeed we've got some side-by-sides further back. Now this looks like it might be Alibi under pressure from Alexander Abakazava. We did just have a car, I think, go off. We heard the squeals at turn 1, not quite sure what that's about, but we have got some tyre smoke being lifted. Alexander Abakazava now moving through and past Karim Alibi. Rahim Alibi now dropping down to 14th place. As MP Motorsports, Alexander Abakazava now moves up a spot, and into 13th he will go. And it doesn't look like it's, again, over for Rahim Alibi, because Jan Sharovsky is all over the back of his rear wing now, as the RPM car now looks to switch all over the back of the car in behind. You can just see Salim Hanna as well in the mixer of things too, looking to pounce on any opportunity. More cars getting into the grass, just on the verges outside of the chicane. So now come through towards the 3rd sector. Fastest lap of the race so far in the palm of Rashid Al-Lahiri's hand, showing a grand level of pace. But Yuki Sano responding on this very lap with a purple middle sector. Also fast in the 1st sector, Jan Sharovsky, he's gone purple with a 36.8. So showing that Keith Donegan's outfit do have the pace to land stern blows here. They've contributed some sensational drivers in the past. We've seen Noah Stromstead this weekend in FIA F3 look to deliver further podium goods for Trident, who have been a force to be reckoned with, as now we see the 2 R-Race GP teammates of Yuki Sano and Al-Lahiri nose to tail, with Al-Lahiri looking all over the back of his R-Race counterpart. Of course, Al-Lahiri switching across from Prema, where 12 months ago he was teammates with eventual champion Freddie Slater. But has since switched gears as Al-Lahiri and decided to move to R-Race GP, who over the many years have been direct rivals against the Italian outfit. With Thibaut de Merindol working with some astonishing talents, and we've seen the likes of Martinius Stenschorner go on to claim rookie championship titles back in 2023, the year that Andrea Kimi Antonelli went on to win the overall title here in the FIA Formula Regional European Championship. Well, he's gone on to do great things now, hasn't he, as young Kimi, especially this weekend at Silverstone, overtaking Lewis Hamilton to sprint race success earlier this weekend. As we've got car 11, Francisco Bacedo with a false start. That has been noted by race control and the stewards, so we'll await to hear perhaps something additional about that later on. So every movement being scrutinised, of course, by the grand team of stewards that are here with us, and of course the new generation of stewards and race directors are being sought after. Of course, we do have the legendary Herbie Blash here this weekend from the FIA, who has spent a grand deal of time in Formula One paddocks, and of course looking to tutor the next teams representing motorsport in race control, the unsung heroes, you might say. of the sport as we now watch the cars swiftly make their way down out of turn 3. It's Sano, Aldahiri and Zeeworthen. Your top 3 at the moment. RHGP 1 and 2 with Rodin Motorsport down in 3rd. Emmanuel Olivieri making it a RHGP 1, 2 and 4. And then Stolchemanis for Prema, the highest Prema on the board in 5th place ahead of Marcus Sater, Sakir Al-Masergi behind his G4 Racing teammates. And then we have Sebastian Weldon down in 8th, MP Motorsport ahead of Alex Ninovic with Kabir Anorak still inside the top 10. Remember, you walk away with a point for 10th place. And Nakamura Berta is desperate to try and jump back into the points fray, and I'm sure you'll hold no qualms of trying to achieve just that. A young man that has had no problem winning titles in the past. Alluding back again to his efforts in Italian F4, also winning in E4 as well at the same time, but also winning the Middle Eastern Championship earlier this year. Just goes to show what a vibrant talent Nakamura Berta is, and there's still plenty of racing to be had through the course of this season, and he is very much still in the championship charge, though he would really prefer to put points on the board here this time. A little look from Salim Hanna on Jan Sharovsky. Further back though, Zenri Chi also looking to move up the order as well. It's got Francisco Macedo for company as they storm through the first sector. Wheel to wheel between these two. Macedo on the outside, Mace the ace. Looking to jump Zenri Chi, the Aston Martin Jr. though, with his guard up, managing to keep the Van Amersfoort driver behind. Very nicely done from Zenri Chi, but it has cost him perhaps a little bit of time against Salim Hanna. He may have just recovered it though, because of course Salim Hanna very preoccupied with Jan Sharovsky at the moment. The young RPM driver hunting down after Rahim Alabai, also representing the G4 Racing fold as Yuki Sano continues to take the drivers through the course of the middle sector in towards the latter. Still over 20 minutes left to go in the session. It's purple in the middle sector for Yuki Sano, still starting to hammer home the faster deltas. Emmanuel Olivieri holds the fastest lap of the race. Incidentally, over the last lap, matching with Seb Weldon to the second. Absolutely sensational. It's a 140.997 that they share together. So that's impressive indeed, and obviously Olivieri, fresh off the back of his success back at Monza. Prior to that, we saw podiums, for example, back at Zandvoort. Now, we can tell you that Francisco Macedo has received a 5-second time penalty for the false start. So he will suffer majorly due to that, with Noah Lyle currently behind him. Not only that, Jules Roussel, Giovanni Maschio, Matteo Giaccardi, they're all within a second of one another. So that 5-second time penalty is going to be absolutely horrifying as far as his end result's going to be. Another fastest lap for Rashid Aldahiri though. So immediately snatches that away from Emmanuel Olivieri and as well as Seb Weldon at the same time. Razor Seaworthen was fastest in the final sector over the last lap, but not enough to trump Rashid Aldahiri over that fastest lap of the race. It's still 0.4 of a second, well, within 0.4 between Yuki Sano and Rashid Aldahiri. But the gap's starting to grow between P2 and 3. It's approximately just over 9.25 of a second. Razor Seaworthen from Poole in the UK, 19 years old. Finished 5th in GB3 last season, would have witnessed his teammate Ninovic storm to the title. But Rodin proving that despite this being their first season, that they are no mugs in this championship. They are here to fight for the big prizes. And Razor had so much joy in relaying his experiences of qualifying this morning, as we now see another driver making a bit of a howler coming through the final sector on that occasion. I think that was Alexandre Munoz, who just dipped his toes into the gravel trap. Was the man who went on to take a victory back at Spa and first of the season for ART, who we would expect, just based on their mere history, to be lifting teams and drivers' titles. They did with Gregoire Saucy back in 2021. It was 8 wins that season, along with 10 podiums that granted the Swiss driver that 2021 title, but it's yet to happen again for ART. looking for the next superstar to come through, but they have produced some really popular and quality talents, the likes of Alessandro Giusti as well, who is since also gone on to represent the Williams Formula One team, much like now we see Kei Nakamura-Berta doing. And these young drivers, plenty of them. It's such a competitive season, by the way. All of them looking to make their mark, ready for stints at FIA Formula 3 and FIA Formula 2 by extension. As we now watch Seb Weldon still chasing after Sakir Al-Maserji. G4 Racing have definitely got something right this weekend with the setup. They've really delivered, and it's such a stark contrast from what we've seen from them in recent months, recent rounds. And the fact they've got Marcus Sater and Sakir Al-Maserji, who's really come a long way this weekend. I mean, to go fastest in free practice was one thing. Sensational effort on his part, but to come again and show what he can do in qualifying, Marcus Sater doing the same things. And then with Rahim Alabai, who's currently down in 14th at the moment, keeping Jan Sharovsky at bay, really does show that on their best day, they can stand and deliver. Yuki Sano with the fastest lap this time has ripped it away from Rashid Al-Dahiri, and the gap has grown out to a whole second now. Can you believe it? It was purple inside the middle sector for Yuki Sano over that last lap, and that middle sector alone, incidentally, was approximately 2.5 tenths faster than his R-Race teammates. And across the whole lap in itself, the gap standing at nearly 4 tenths of a second, as now we see side-by-sides elsewhere. As they now peel through downhill. So Alexandra Munoz, who was in the process of just trying to defend against Alexander Abakazava, who is very keen to jump higher up and encroach on this top 10. Of course, they've got Kei Nakamura-Berta, who stands in between them and a top 10 spot, as Kabir Anurag, we just see in the pink Alpine livery flying through turn 8. And he still managed to keep Kei Nakamura-Berta at bay over that single point paying spot. All of it allowing Alexandra Munoz just to get a little bit closer as they head down now in towards the next braking zone, coming into the right out of turn 11. And of course into turn 12. Very soon they'll find 13 at the hairpin, and this is a stunning snapshot here. Drone footage has been absolutely first class this weekend. And with the renovations that Hungaroring have really pulled together, you can stand just outside the media centre on the balcony and get a perfect view of the entirety of the final sector. The work they have done here to Hungaroring is absolutely sensational. And as far as fan service goes, it is absolutely brilliant, and it has been an incredibly well-supported weekend by Hungarian racing fans, and quite rightly so as well, with these fantastic talents that are looking to take the next steps in their junior single-seater racing career. Sano, Al-Dahiri, Seaworthen, Olivieri, Stolchamanis, your top 5 still. Sater down in 6th with Al-Maserji, and then Weldon, Ninovic, Anurag, as well as Nakamura-Berta, who's trying to knock on the door of the points-paying positions. There he is now, coming out of turn 4. And now through turn 5, he will also go. They're starting to string out in places. Zenri Chi, incidentally, trying to put a gap in against Macedo, but he inadvertently may be losing time to Salim Hanna at the moment, as Kei Nakamura-Berta seemed to get a better run under the chicane at turn 6 and 7 than Kabir Anurag. And it only takes one mistake for the Alpine Junior to fall foul to it, and Nakamura-Berta will be in the points. Got to have a degree of patience when trying to undertake this particular track. It is so testing, and speaking to the drivers, one of the highest degradation. Oh my goodness, yes, there's a CL Motorsport car that just quite simply went wide coming through. And I think that was Jules Roussel being chased down by Giovanni Maschio, who just had a wide moment there. We did see the RPM chasing after it, and indeed another car off as well at the same time. And that was just in front of a Trident, which was actually, I believe, Costa, who took a bit of a dip into the gravel, as Rashid Al-Dahiri, who continues to trade off fastest laps against Yuki Sano. It looks like Kei Nakamura-Berta was just having a little look there on Kabir Anurag coming through towards turn 1. Nothing doing. Anurag able to hold his position. Is now, oh my goodness, a lock up there. by what looks to be the MP Motorsport car of Seb Weldon. No! Oh no! Oh no, that's Seb Weldon! He's round! Seb Weldon's round! The lockup was just simply too brutal coming out of turn 1 and turn 2. And coming down towards turn 3, he has pitched the wrong way round and is in absolute free fall here at this point. And has now handed Sakir Al-Maserji that P7 position, or allowed him to hold on to it, and in turn it's allowed Alex Ninovic to carry on. Let's take a look at this again. The MP Motorsport car, he was tackling Sakir Al-Maserji, trying to break the G4 Racing train, but ultimately ending in tears for the MP Motorsport driver in the American hailing from St. Petersburg. Now sees the point slip through his fingers and inadvertently handing a point-paying position to his championship rival, Kei Nakamura Berta. It may only be one solitary point, but it's one more point than what Seb Weldon will be receiving at the end of this race when the checkered flag comes out. And the time continues to tick down. 11 and 20 plus 1 lap. Seb Weldon must be absolutely devastated with that. Qualifying was bad enough for him as far as he was concerned, and now to have his race end up like this, truly not the way he would have envisaged his first race at Hungaroring. And typically this track very unique. I mean, I know and appreciate that every track has its own elements of uniqueness, but when it comes to Hungaroring, just the narrow typical nature of it. Of course, you have Zandvoort that's known for its banking, Monza known for its immensely long straights. But as far as Hungaroring's concerned, you've got the mid-speed corners, the low-speed corners, a tightly woven track. Let's take a look at this. So this is the 88, now making its way through the Prema of Salim Hanna, the Colombian, suffering no falls against Jan Sharovsky. And we had another car going off as well. That's an ART, by the looks of it, the 27 of Matteo Giaccardi, heading into the grass, which obviously is not going to help your grip on those Pirelli tyres. But nonetheless, work to be done for all concerned. Yuki Sano still out in front. And what a moment this could be for the young man. Obviously still 9 minutes and 50 to go before he can indeed crown himself a race winner. And bear in mind, we still have the 1 lap on top of that to consider. But to take his first European pole position, hailing from Japan, he has of course raced in the Super Formula Lights. He's done his fair share as Yuki Sano, Japanese F4 as well 2 years ago. And the year before, he was runner-up in Super Formula Lights after 4 wins went his way. And both he and Rashid Al-Lahiri are enjoying their time at the front. It's all of a sudden become a 2-horse race over the overall victory here at Budapest. Now look in the mirror from Yuki Sano as now Rashid Al-Lahiri starts to push and prod once more. Obviously quite happy to remain behind Sano perhaps for a grand degree of time and just pinpoint and wait for his opportunity to perhaps launch a blow. Of course, Rashid Al-Lahiri, who may have taken 2 sprint victories, he would love nothing more than his first main race victory this season. I'm sure if you're Thibaut Merindol, he would just prefer that both cars come home in one piece. Further back, you can see Racer Seaworthen, who started on the front row of the grid, trying to harness and hold on to that podium place. But RHGP, again, with Emmanuel Olivieri in hot pursuit, would love to make it a blanket 1, 2 and 3 for RHGP, and what a moment that would be for Thibaut de Merindol's team. The French outfit, as we mentioned, their phenomenal efforts in the past with other drivers that have raced at this track. Isaac Hadjar, of course, was a rookie champion for them back in 2021. Now racing in Formula One with the Red Bull team as they now storm down through towards the first corner apex once again. Flat out, and Olivieri getting closer. A look up the inside here from Olivieri. Selling the dummy. May have caught Seaworthen slightly off guard. Didn't trouble him too much, but there was a slight aura of adjustment there from Racer Seaworthen. The British driver was definitely very much aware of that, and Olivieri not afraid to test Seaworthen's mental ability where it comes to high-pressured situations. And just look at this that we have got about to unfold here. We've got Olivieri streaming through over the crest out of turn 4. And further back, of course, Thomas Stolchemanis, who is being joined by Marcus Sater. That battle's not over yet either, over 5th place. And that would be massive points as well for G4 Racing as far as their championship is concerned. Currently routed to the bottom of the championship table on 14 at this stage. But with the points levy that they could yet receive, they could find themselves hopping Van Amersfoort Racing, but we will wait and see. There has been an incident noted between cars 27 and 99. That's involving Giovanni Maschio, who was the one who forced Matteo Giaccardi onto the grass coming out of turn 2. So the race stewards are going to take some time to consider that one. We may not hear from that until the very end of the race. Sano has managed to gap now Rashid Al Lahiri by a whole second, clearly sensing that he has to kick on home now with 6 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Another look up the inside again, this time. As G4 Racing continue to pepper the back of Thomas Stolchemanis, Marcus Sater, third in the rookies. As we currently see it, of course, leading rookie in this race is Emanuele Olivieri. And he leads the rookie championship coming into this round as well at the same time, ahead of Alexandre Munoz and Gabriel Gomez. And Thomas Stolchemanis is 1.6 seconds behind Olivieri at the moment. The incident at turn 2, no investigation necessary. That's regarding Maschio and Giaccardi, so clearly they feel that Maschio wasn't necessarily the biggest issue in that battle that those two shared that led to Giaccardi going off the circuit. So could probably breathe a sigh of relief over that one, can Giovanni Maschio. Would have been hopeful that he wouldn't be on the receiving end of a penalty himself, but Giaccardi finding himself onto the grass regardless. Currently down in 25th place now as they come into the final 5 minutes here at Budapest. There is the 73 of Emanuele Olivieri. It's now within 6/10 of a second between himself and Razor Seaworthen. Is there going to be some late drama before the end that sees our race put themselves into a position where they have got 3 cars on the podium here at Budapest? There is Yuki Sano, your race leader. The gap's still standing at a second as they cross the line with Rashid Al Lahiri in 2nd place. Razor Seaworthen, despite Rashid Al Lahiri dropping off from Yuki Sano, isn't catching Al Lahiri, and I think very much in a position of preoccupation with Olivieri, hovering all over the back of him. But as they now upturn towards turn 4, there is Al Lahiri in the Yas Heat colours, who had an exceptional run last season with Prema, obviously part of a great team that were fighting for big prizes. And they've got some great talents again this season, but Rashid Al Lahiri, with pastures new, Middle Eastern Championship runner-up last time out, of course, earlier this year. Was 8th in this championship last season under Prema. Was runner-up also to the Formula Trophy United Arab Emirates Championship not too long ago either. That was back in 2024, 2 years ago now. But Olivieri, it looks like the gap, in fact, is starting to lengthen. A little bit of a mistake there, though, by Thomas Stolchemanis, which might offer Marcus Sater crumbs of comfort over a potential challenge for P5, which for Adrian Munoz's team would mean the absolute world. As they now head down through towards turn 1 once again, inside the final 3 minutes. A little look from Sater, the Norwegian, trying to sell the dummy as they now head out of turn 1. Sater representing in the rookie class, Also competed in the Italia Formula Winter Series back in 2025. Also a Ginetta Junior driver as well. On top of that, I mentioned in qualifying how we've had quite a few drivers come through the realms of the Ginettas. Sater part of that fraternity as he tries to urge himself a little closer. Olivieri now outside of a second on Seaworthen. It's 1.2. The laps now not as quick as they once were. It's definitely a cooler day now. A cooler temperature. We've passed the peak of the heat. And we'll take a look at this moment as well. So this, oh dear, G4 Racing's Rahim Alabai going for a spin, and it looks like Jan Sharovsky profiteering off the back of it, now into 14th place himself. So whilst he was outside the points to begin with, doesn't look like we will be seeing 3 G4 Racing cars inside the points fray regardless, especially after that. But it's Yuki Sano who has been absolutely blistering. There's Emmanuel Olivieri coming around the final bend. Personal bests from Sano and Aldahiri inside the second sector. Last lap being a 140.553. That is approximately 4 tenths slower than the fastest lap we witnessed from Rashid Aldahiri from lap 10. Another look from Sater. Again as they come through turn 1, Marcus Sater all over the back of Stolchamanis, which would not only mean 4th place if Sater was to get it done, but also 2nd place in the rookies. And he's trying the tighter line, very nearly going into the back of Thomas Stolchamanis, who has to run out wide now, maybe compromise his exit. Coming out of turn 3 up through towards turn 4, a very close moment, a lock-up from Marcus Sater. Very nearly sending both drivers out of the race, and they can't afford to take liberties here, G4 Racing. They need the points, if anything. I mean, don't get me wrong, risking it where necessary, but not at the expense of the car or the position. And bear in mind, Al-Masergi is also waiting patiently, perhaps for his opportunity to strike down in 7th place as well. As they come out of turn 8, through turn 9, and soon a dance through 10. Stolchamanis going to have his wits about him. He came under fire back at Zandvoort, if you all remember. Olivieri overtook him, as did Reno Francot, who was very unfortunate to receive his disqualification this morning. Therefore featuring at the very tail end, the back of the grid, Yuki Sano. After 17 laps completed, and look at this, the 2 G4s going at it. It looks like Sater made a slight mistake, and that's now given a reprieve to Thomas Stolchamanis, and now an opportunity awaits Sakir Al-Masergi, wheel to wheel between the 2 G4 Racing cars. No fighting, boys, will say Adrian Munoz, and that is smooth as you like from Sakir Al-Masergi. Had the leverage coming out of the final corner and overtakes his teammate Marcus Sater. And he is the highest of the G4 Racing cars now, as Sater has another look up the inside, similar to what he tried to do earlier on with Stolchamanis. There was more lock-up smoke there, but ultimately leading to nothing. Yuki Sano, though, continues to pepper in the improved lap times. Last lap was fastest by Emmanuel Olivieri, and he's back to within a second on Razor Seaworthen. It's now within 9 tenths now. So Olivieri still not done yet, determined to bring this home in good style. He will be on the rookie podium regardless, as your rookie race winner. As now Sano sprints through the middle sector, soon to be the final sector. It has been a dream weekend, as now Rashid Aldahiri goes a little bit wide of the curb, rejoins, no harm, no foul, but Yuki Sano has been absolutely sensational. We have seen his phenomenal driving already, gaining place after place, but now this has allowed him at least one chance to challenge for a top place. And for the first time in Europe, not only will he be a pole sitter for the first time in Europe, he's a race winner for the first time in Europe. It's Yuki Sano who wins here in Budapest. An incredible result that sees RHGP in Ps 1 and 2. Razor Seaworthen will hold on to 3rd, ahead of Emanuele Olivieri in 4th. Thomas Stolchamanis down in 5th as well for Prema, with Sakir Al-Masergi down in 6th place, ahead of Marcus Sater. Alex Ninovic brings added points back for Rodin. And Kabir Anurag in 9th, ahead of Ken Nakamura Berta, who despite his efforts of trying to, of course, surpass drivers, trying to surpass Kabir Anurag, would eventually receive the P10 after the dismay for Seb Weldon that saw him spin on the outset of turn 2 at turn 3. But Yuki Sano, all the way from Shizuoka, Japan, the Super Formula Lights runner-up, announces himself on the European stage. And like I said, lights to flag, corroborating with similar achievements from other RHGP drivers here and gone. Of course, the last one to do it, Tuka Tappinen, back in 2024 in his championship battle against Rafael Kamara. We'll take you through the classification, folks. Yuki Sano, he takes the victory. 1.2 seconds ahead of Rashid Al-Dahiri, RHGP in Dreamland in 1 and 2, with Reza Seaworthen in 3rd, taking the last step of the podium. Emanuele Olivieri, despite not making it our race 1, 2 and 3, lays claim to the rookie win ahead of Thomas Stolchamanis and Sakir Al-Maserji in 6th, Marcus Sater in 7th. A masterful effort from G4 with Alex Ninovic in 8th, Kabir Anurag in 9th, Ken Nakamura Berta scooping up the final points paying position, and then Alexander Munoz, Alexander Abakazava down in 12th with Salim Hanna in 13th, Jan Sharovsky in 14th ahead of Zen Ricci, the Aston Martin Jr., ahead of Noah Lyle in his first weekend, ahead of Francisco Macedo, Jules Roussel, Rahim Alabai, Giovanni Maschio, Dion Gauda, Maximilian Popov for Trident, ahead of Miguel Costa, Gabriel Gomez, Matteo Giaccardi, who took a trip in the grass, Sebastian Weldon, misery for him after the spin, Andrea Kostic behind him with Andrea Dupé, Kai Darianani, and Reno Francot, who was out of the race right at the very start, did not make it home. Fastest lap going the way of Emanuele Olivieri. He runs away with the points for the fastest lap, which you'll be absolutely delighted with. At the end of the day, points are everything when it comes to winning championships. And there's a lot of points to be gained in this because our top 2 in the championship dropping a considerable number against those all around. And it's important to note that the driver occupying P3 is Rashid Al-Dahiri. He will bring the points gap definitely closer, and I do ask you all to stay tuned to the social media networks to find out what those tables will look like. And of course to the FIA Formula Regional European Championship website, where you can find out all the latest news and also everything concerning the championship as far as the points are concerned. Rashid Al-Dahiri already out of the car, will await his teammate to come in. Reza Seaworthen, a grand moment for him. Would have perhaps hoped for a victory for Rodin, but given the nature of the ability of RHGP and what they can do at Budapest, this is certainly not the first time we have seen a result like this for this team, and it won't be the last, judging from what we've seen either. But Yuki Sano, much to the delight of his team and crew, and I'm sure his home nation of Japan that are watching on at home. Those Japanese drivers have been given immense support over the years by their home nation. They love racing in Europe. And he will replace the steering wheel to the chassis, stand tall, and celebrate victory. For the first time in Europe, it's Yuki Sano.
Good job, man, good job. Good job, mate. Good job, mate.
The engineers paying their respects to Yuki Sano. Lots of happiness shared in amongst the French outfit. Thibaut de Merendol will be absolutely thrilled. Emanuele Olivieri coming across. Stefan Guerin from Mercedes, who of course nurtured the likes of Andrea Kimi Antonelli in his time in the Formula Regional European Championship. Also looking after various other talents, the likes of Rashid Al-Dahiri as well, who's also a Mercedes junior. All of them looked after. We'll take a look at the highlights, though, from start to finish. It was a great start for Reza Seaworthen. Yuki Sano got a great jump as well, did he not? Further back, Rashid Al-Dahiri. It was all about his start, really, that led to Seaworthen's departure out of P2. We'll take a look at this. They went wheel-to-wheel briefly. Seaworthen tried the brave option of going around the outside. Just look at that. Seb Weldon, in fact, getting onto the grass on the outset on the run down through towards turn 1. But you just see as they leave the first corner apex, unfortunately for Seaworthen, he got caught astray. We just caught then as well. Marcus Sater dipping into the grass at the same time for G4. Wouldn't be the first time he did that. Seb Weldon, this is how he forfeited his top 10 spot. Was going wheel to wheel with other cars inside the top 10, and unfortunately it led to his demise outside of the point scoring positions. We saw Salim Hanna on the attack with Jan Sharovsky, and then later Matteo Giaccardi going wheel to wheel with Giovanni Maschio. There was no contact there, therefore the stewards making the right call in my opinion, with Maschio just allowing racing room, unfortunately for Giaccardi, going into the grass. We did, of course, witness as well Rahim Alabai being spun round. Unfortunate for him. But nonetheless, Yuki Sano will celebrate a tremendous victory that he will remember for a long, long time. Forever marked as his first win on European soil. And I don't think it's going to be the last either. This could very well be the cork out of the bottle. And now we cast our attention to the podium celebrations. RHGP waiting on their 2 drivers. Could make that 3 if you factor in Emanuele Olivieri's rookie victory. And are waiting for those steps to be occupied by the top 3 drivers. At the close of this race, Yuki Sano, whose last lap, incidentally, was a personal best as well, at 1:39.951. If we take a look back at his results in particular, Yuki Sano has often been knocking on the door. Of course, it was a troublesome first 2 rounds, especially at Zandvoort. He did take P10 in the opening race of the weekend at Red Bull Ring, and his first major points came from the haul of points he managed to gain after finishing 4th at Spa in the opening race. Aside from that, of course, it was a cancelled race for race 2 at Spa, and then 3 successive nil point finishes. But last time out at Monza, he managed to scoop up his first podium of the season, and now he's gone 1 or 2 steps higher than that. 3rd and now 1st after taking pole. Positive sign of things to come here for driver and team alike. Rashid Al-Lahiri standing on the 2nd step with Reza Seaworthen stood on the 3rd step, and there is Emanuele Olivieri. All 3 drivers from our race on the podium.
Congratulations, guys, and here comes the trophy.
Well, the Japanese national anthem rings out here in Budapest, and will now begin the trophy presentation. Yuki Sano will be the first driver to receive the winning trophy. Will it be the first of many that are still to come? The Pirelli representative handing the second place trophy to Rashid Al-Lahiri, and the 3rd place trophy going to Reza Seaworthen,
and 1 more trophy from Agnes to
the young 19-year-old who was absolutely delighted with his performance in qualifying, and I think he'll be quite happy with his race performance. The winning team's trophy presented to RHGP. They've got a collection now from this particular circuit, and Emanuele Olivieri will collect his winning rookie trophy and will continue his lead on top of the rookie championship. But folks, it is not over just yet. Plenty more to come. Do join us tomorrow morning for qualifying ahead of race 2 coming up tomorrow afternoon. But until then, from all of us here at Budapest, it is goodbye.
And thank you very much for the beautiful race.